Hello everyone, this is Bojie here. I'm a Bay Area real estate agent. Now today I want to talk to you guys about negotiations. I mean negotiations in general, but more specifically as it pertains to the real estate transactions. So how does negotiation works? I mean when it comes to negotiations, right? Everybody would say, "Yes, I can negotiate. I'm a good negotiator." But very few people actually understands how negotiation works. There's a saying, I forgot where it came from, but it goes along the lines of negotiation. The power of negotiation is the ability to walk away. Okay. Now, as far as the second line, I'll share that with you guys some other time. So when it comes to negotiation, it's more than just having two parties keep yelling at each other like, come on, come on, come on. Well, it's more to it than that. I mean, when it comes to like say negotiating your salary, right? If you remember, like you got an interview from Google or Apple, and did you really negotiate a salary? Did you really push hard, or did you say, "Hey, I want a job. I need a job from Apple. I need a job from Google. So whatever that they gave me sounds good to me, so I'll take it." But you know that you could probably push a little bit, but then it all depends. And it basically goes back to the saying the power of negotiation is the ability to walk away. Now, can you walk away from this opportunity without risking, you know, that opportunity? Vice versa, can that employer, Apple or Google, walk away from hiring a talent like you? Right. And so it kind of goes both ways. And in real estate transaction, the negotiation kind of works in a similar way. From the buyer's perspective, can a buyer walk away from this particular transaction? Okay. So, and also can the seller walks away from this offer? It all kind of, play into their negotiation powers. And for a buyer, if you're looking to buy a home, you have to learn how to position yourself so that you get more leverage. And that goes to number one, do you really have to buy? Okay, can you wait? Knowing that now is a seller's market as of now, May 2021. So chances are, the market is not in your favor. But at the same time, what is your realistic expectation? Do you have a lot of choices based on your budget and your wants and needs? So that will result in, do you have a lot of homes to choose from? If you don't get this one, can you walk away from this one and go to the next one? What kind of financing strategies do you have? So, I know a lot of people talk about, I do a 20% down payment and I'll get the lowest interest rate, but there are more financing strategies to it than just that. What do you have? That's going to result in potentially creating more like search results for you, making you having the ability to walk away from one transaction that you don't like, it doesn't work for you. As far as with the sellers, okay, now it is a seller's market. That means you've got the foundations of selling your home for top dollars, but you still have to, put in the work, do the marketing, make sure you align your property conditions with the pricing and the marketing and everything. That will cost you, you put your home on the market and you'll probably get multiple offers before the average days on market. And that's going to position you in a much better negotiating position. Now you have multiple offers, so you can walk away from this offer and go to the next one, or you accept this offer and take a backup in case if the first one gives you a hard time. But if you don't have that, your home sits on the market forever, and then you're gonna lose that negotiating power, even though the overall market climate is in the seller's favor. So all that kind of goes into the negotiations, and hopefully it'll set you up for a more successful negotiation. And so let me give you an example of one of the deals that I did with a buyer years ago, and it was an investor and the property was in Oakland, California. It was the house was a mess. Okay, the home was on the market for about $650,000 and on the market for 50 days, and they dropped the price to $600,000. And by the time we came across this property, it was $600,000, but on the market for 20 days already. That means there is no other buyers. There are no other offers on the table. We know that. Buyer came to me. He's an investor. He's a flipper, and he said that he's gonna be a cash buyer. So he's buying and flipping. Okay, that's all great. Sends me the pre-approval. No, sends me the bank account. Okay, it's his company, has a $1.7 million in there. Everything looks good. So I said, how much do you want to offer? Well, let's do 550. This house has been on the market for almost 70 days, and it's a mess. It's vacated, and seller's probably not gonna hold on to this property. You know, I say, all right, 550. Let's try. So we did 550 plus 3-day inspection contingency, and the buyer just wanted to bring in his contractors, his buddies, to make sure this house is, it says it's a 4 bedroom, 2 bath. It's actually a 4 bedroom, 2 bath. And so he just wants to verify the condition. I say it's all fair, fair and done. So 550, 3 days inspection. The offer got accepted. Okay. So that was good. And so he sends his guy out there and take a look at the home, and then he came to me and say, well, it's actually a we're still gonna go through a hard money lender, so but it's kind of like cash. Okay, because it does not have anything to do with appraisal price, or subject to the bank's regulations. So it's basically our own, you know like pool of investors who wants to also come in. I was like, okay, well, all right, we'll see how that goes. Okay. First of all, I was like, I started to have a bad feeling about this. And so 3 days later, he came back and said, 550 is a little bit too high. We looked at the property, and how about this, 530? And I say, 530, are we good? 530? We'll go to the seller and say 530, and then we'll remove our contingency. And we're basically buying it at 530. He said, yep, yep. All right. As long as you did your number, you run everything, run all your scenario, let's do it. So I say, you know what? Let's just put in an addendum and ask for 530. And of course, they could come back and counter us. We'll see how that goes. So we came in at 530 again, and hey, we got that. And the listing agent basically says, seller does not like that, but still, looking at all the situations, the seller thought, it's still to our best interest to sell it. So 530 it is. And without, that needless to say, and we basically got the price at 530 and removed the contingency. I was like, all right, well, congratulations. And but the funny thing is, like, 2 3 days later, I got an email from this buyer, and this guy was saying like, oh, you know what, I'm in trouble right now. The hard money lender that was gonna fund this deal says that this property is not worth 530. They'll only fund the deal if it's at 500. So can you do something? I was like, that's not good. Your deposit is at risk, right? Even though if for this particular one, he was putting down like a 1%, which is about $5,000, but still, that's your money. I said, you know what, you remove your contingency and you're basically naked right now. And can you do something? Can you borrow $30,000? Do you put yourself in that situation? Or can you talk to, can you go to another hard money lender? I don't know. Why did you pick this one? Well, this one, we originally had the other one, and that other guy says 530 was okay, and then we came across this new one. This new guy says that, we offer you a higher interest rate, a bet not a higher, a better interest rate. So we decided to go with this guy. I was like, okay, so you're basically shopping around lenders, during your transaction, and you're basically looking for someone with a lower interest rate. But then look at what this guy's doing. He wants a lower price. I was like, this is really not gonna be good. So I said, well, can you talk to friends and families or somebody, to make this deal? $30,000, I don't know. I mean, what happened? You got that $1.7 million in your bank, right? And that's when the buyer was like, "Oh yeah, but that money is da da da." I was like, you know what? I don't know what to tell you, but what would you want me to do? So he went dark for about like another day or two. Suddenly, I got a call. I got a call from another guy, and that guy basically said, "Hey, I am the mentor of this buyer. Um, let's call him Ralph. Rodolfo. There you go. Hey, I'm the mentor of Ralph. Okay, and here's the situation, and I'm the one who basically tells him that we should come in at $500,000. So you, Mr. Agent, you should, I know the contingencies removed and everything, but he did not consult with me before making that final number. And so here's what I want you to do. I want you to reach back out to the listing agent, tell them we want to lower the price again, and then if not, we're just gonna go through our arbitrations. We're gonna demand our deposits back. If not, guess what? We're going to the court. Okay. well, well, yeah, sure. All right. I mean, we could try that for sure. And that's when Ralph called me again, and he said, and then we said a few things, and finally he said the most that he could come up with is 515. So he'll borrow 15 grand from his mentor or someone, yeah, like his mentor, and then he wants the offer price to drop by $15,000. So it's kind of like halfway. So I went back and reached back to the listing agent and I say, I'm so sorry. This is what happened, and they wanted the price to drop by $15,000. If not, I mean, it's $5,000 deposit, which is no big deal. We could walk away from this, but most likely we're going to go through arbitrations, and then it'll probably lock up the whole thing until the courts whatever the next step that the court says about the decision. And during this whole period of time, there's nothing really we can do about. You can't really sell this home to someone else until the arbitration is settled. And of course, the listing agent wasn't happy. She was like yelling and screaming at me and like, "Hey, it's supposed to be a cash offer and this and that, and then you keep taking advantage of us. You said 550 and 530 and now 515." I was like, I know, I know, I know. I was like a million. I know. I was like, you know, I, I I don't know what else to tell you, but sorry about you know this predicament, and but it is what it is. So talk to your seller and have them reconsider 515. And hey, if we can make 515, it'll be good for both of us, right? And you get the home sold, and buyer gets it at 515, and you and I, we walk our own separate ways. So yeah, the listing agent hung up on me, and I think they went dark for about 24 hours. So finally, the listing agent came back and said, "Yes, I talked to the seller. Seller's not very happy with what you guys are doing. The seller feels like they are being taken advantage of, but they still feel like selling this home is to their best interest. So they will accept your offer at 515 and remove the contingencies." So we got the deal done, 515. And yeah, this property was a total mess. It was like near the Oakland Zoo, a property on the hill. It was big. The only thing nice about the property was it being big. Okay, but it was clearly abandoned. The last tenant lived there for 15 years, and they were growing marijuana inside the house in the basement. And then according to the seller, they just one day decided to pack up and leave. Nobody knows what happened, and the property was trashed. And so we got the deal done at 5:15, and the seller and the buyer basically, to spend a couple months rehabbing the property, and then put it back on the market again and sold it for 8:30. So there were some profit after all. And but looking at this deal, there are a few lessons learned, when it comes to negotiations and stuff. And first thing is the lessons. We know I'm not really working with that buyer right now, because now looking back, this buyer, I think he was an amateur. Maybe he is a pro right now, but at that time, I feel like he was a part-time, doing his first flip. That's how I felt. Okay, but the lesson for him, would be number one, of course, you got to be transparent with your agent at the beginning. Okay, are you really a cash buyer, or are you gonna get funded by hard money lenders? And are you the only decision maker, or do you have to go through a mentor, and all that kind of stuff? You got to be transparent with your agent. Otherwise, the contract will be written and you sign in such a way that basically not everything is under the sun. It could come back and bite you, like in this case. It was a surprise to me, and it was a surprise to the listing agent, and it was just, you know I wish you could have been more transparent at the beginning. So huge mistake. That's number one. Number two is, don't shop around lenders during the transactions. Okay, I know everybody wants to shop around, but this is one of those things. If you're already under the transaction, you got to fulfill what you put on the contract. 3-day close, 25-day close, this and that. If you shop around lenders, okay, you're gonna have to qualify yourself with a new lender, and then you're going to have to do a new appraisal. Who knows what the appraisal is going to be? It could screw everything up, especially you having your deposit money on the line. Okay, so do your shopping around before you even make your offer. That's what I would say. And now for agents. Okay, in particular, working with investors, there are a lot of these investors out there that they're amateurs. And they say they're the guy, but they're really not. Like in this case, I think he basically turned himself into a wholesaler. You know, a wholesaler is someone who's basically selling a contract, selling their interests in a contract. That means they don't actually have money. So if any investor comes to you and say, "Hey, help me find deals," well, that's great. I would love to, but what are you? Are you an investor, or are you a wholesaler? Okay. Are you a full-time or part-timer? Okay. How many deals have you done? How many deals do you currently have? A pretty good and established investor who knows what they're doing, a flipper that knows what they're doing, they're full-time, and they typically have 3 or 4 projects that's currently going on. You pretty much have to. If you want to make good money, you do 3 or 4 at the same time, and you should totally be able to do so. It's okay to do just one if you are very new and this is your first project that you just want to get a feel for it. Okay, well then you do one just to learn. Okay, but if you really want to be able to quit your job, you got to be able to do 3 or 4 at the same time. And ideally in this market, you know 3 or 4 months, you should be able to have everything flip around and close. So how many projects have you done? Can you show me some of your current projects? That's what I would ask, if any investor comes to me. So that's how I would know whether you are legit or you are just one of those like a part-timers trying to get rich quick. Okay, now a huge lessons for the sellers and the listing side. Okay, you like in this particular case, a seller kind of put himself in this position where he was less likely to walk away from a deal, because your property is abandoned, is in a huge mess. It costs you money to hold on to the property, which is okay. I mean, sometimes it happens. But To put something like that on the market, you got to price it right, and then you also have to do a lot of marketing to make sure that you get the right exposure. Ultimately, what the seller should have wanted to get is multiple offer situations with the right pricing, the right marketing, get multiple offers on the table, and also, you know, this property is a mess. Okay, investors are gonna want a 3 day inspection contingency, which is okay because they want to probably like tear the whole thing down, whatnot. But if you attract only investors, sometimes that's what I mean. If you only attract flippers, then that's a lot of times what you're gonna get. You're gonna get them to want to come. The hard money lender is gonna want to come do a drive-by appraisal, and you know, and a lot of times the number is not really up to them. It's up to the appraiser, and then their contractor's going to want to say something like this and that. So if you accept an offer with contingency, expect that's what's going to happen. They're going to come back and try to blackmail you, or say, drop the price, or we're going to leave. But you know, take a few backup offers if you have to accept an offer with whatever contingency. Okay, so that way at least if they want to come back and lower the price on their offer or threaten to leave, well, you've got backup offers. So again, it's all about being having the ability to walk away from this deal, and don't position yourself like you have no other ways to walk away. But ultimately, with sellers, the offers coming in with inspection contingency, this contingency and that contingency, well, that's exactly what's going to happen. Well, in this particular case, the property has been on the market for 60 days, 70 days, and knowing that there is no um, multiple offers. So it could be that after they dropped the price to 600, the price was still high. It could very likely be the situation. And this was a couple years ago in 2017, so the market was just as hot as today. And number two is, what kind of marketing have you done? Okay, don't just drop the price and sit there. You got to do some marketing too. So ultimately, what can you do to generate multiple interests, multiple offers? And then for property like that, if you get enough of showings, and there could be like cash offer, like real cash offer with no contingency at all. So in that case, we wouldn't have been able to ask for, what we did. So a huge mistake for seller was definitely the pricing, the marketing at the beginning, which resulted them in not having any offers and having days on market being like 60 days, 70 days. It's basically, stripping away their negotiating power. Either take it off the market and reset the day, reset the price, or if you have to take an offer like that, just knowing that this is what's going to happen. People are going to negotiate. If they're the only buyer out there, and they know it, so it's a huge lesson learned for all of us. And you know, again, when it comes to negotiation, it's more than just the two parties yelling and screaming at each other, like, come on, give me a discount. But can you walk away from these deals? And like in all these like fleet market bargains, right? Um, the seller says $2, buyer says $1.50. Okay, the seller says, how about 190? No, 160. And then the seller pretends to walk away. And then the seller will either do, all right, 160. Well, that means the seller's okay with 160. There's still profit for the sales. Or, all right, go ahead, have a nice day. And then often, the buyer walks away, walks around the market, and comes back to the same lender, the same seller, and say 160, right? You remember you said 160, right? Okay, can you really not do 150, 155? No, 160, or go away again. All right, 160. I don't want this product, right? It's just my son. He wouldn't stop crying. That's why I'm buying it for my son. But you know what I mean. So, more of the story is negotiation is more about positioning, like coming into the negotiating table. And to have you, to give you the right negotiating power, you got to work with a professional, a strategist, to actually help you assess the situation, assess your needs and situation, and then help you design, what's best for you. What's your realistic expectation? What time frame do you have? And what can you expect? Plan A, plan B, plan C. Okay. And when you do everything right, you will have, and more importantly, do you have any backup plans? Okay. All it does is basically not putting you in the situation where you have no other choice but to listen to the other party. Okay. It gives you some good controls, and that's really what we want when it comes to negotiations. All right, guys, it's good for the day. And if you guys have any questions, comments about how I can help you buy or sell real estate, feel free to reach out. My contact is down below, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Until next time.